Hello everyone, thank you for taking the time to join us today for this introduction to AutoCAD Electrical. My name is Ollie Lewis and I'm one of the sales consultants at Micro Concepts. Joining me for the product demonstration today will be our very own Simon Griffin. He carries out the AutoCAD Electrical training within the business. For the product demonstration today, we'll be splitting it into 5 parts. We're going to be covering everything from the AutoCAD Electrical project space, looking at the intelligent components that you get within the software, having a look at the wire numbering and component tagging features, the report features as well, so your bill of materials, and then finally looking at the panel layout design as well. Before going on to the demonstration, just want to go through some of the benefits behind using AutoCAD Electrical. AutoCAD Electrical is a purpose-built piece of software which has specific features to help electrical engineers and panel designers to produce accurate drawings in an efficient manner. It contains all of the features of regular AutoCAD, but obviously has specific electrical features preloaded within it. For example, the preloaded symbol library of over 100,000 electrical components from the majority of the main electrical component manufacturers already available off the bat. You've also got automatic wire numbering and component tagging, which can very quickly be set up with a sequential numbering system, which will automatically update when changes are made to your project. You've also got the report features, so you can create a bill of materials which is driven from your schematic layouts. This can be exported to Excel, XML, CSV formats, which can obviously then be distributed throughout the business. The reports can also be attached to your drawings in the table, which is a live link, so this is going to update as you make changes to your projects as well. AutoCAD Electrical can also help to reduce errors in your work with its time error checking feature. The program will notify you if you're trying to assign a duplicate component tag, or let's say if you've reached the contact limit on a component. You've also got real-time cross-referencing, which will allow you to keep an up-to-date reference between parent and child component relationships. So this is going to be updated as you make changes within your project. As well as schematic design, AutoCAD Electrical is also an excellent panel builder tool. So the panel design can either be driven by your schematic or it could be treated independently as well. As well as the huge component library within AutoCAD Electrical, you've also got electrical specific features which would not be available in AutoCAD or in LT. So you've got different environments within your ribbon, such as schematic, panel, and report environments. The wires as well themselves have intelligence, so you're not just putting down lines as you would inside of AutoCAD or LT. There are also thousands of PLC I/O modules available within AutoCAD Electrical, which makes creating PLC I/O drawings very quick and easy. There's also a module builder available, so if the correct one isn't available for you, it's very easy to carry that across and create your own. This information can easily then be exported to an I/O spreadsheet as well. It's very easy to keep track of design changes, so if you're working in an environment where you've got multiple engineers working on your drawings alongside you, you've got the mark and verify feature, so you can see what changes have been made to your drawing since you last worked on it as well. Finally, AutoCAD Electrical makes it very easy to copy across single drawings, or you can take across complete drawing sets from one project to another. You can then very easily do the retailing for your components and update the wire numbering as well as you copy that design data across. So this is just a quick look at some of the components available inside the preloaded electrical component library. So you've got all the big names in there: Allen Bradley, Schneider. These are preloaded in there, so you haven't got to create these symbols yourselves. Looking at the availability of AutoCAD Electrical itself, you can buy it as a standalone product as a single user, or if you're now using the product design and manufacturing collection, AutoCAD Electrical is one of the products within that. If you're on the old suites, the product design suite Ultimate also has AutoCAD Electrical within it. So without further ado, let's move on to the product demonstration. In this first part, we're going to be having a look at the enhanced electrical workspace and take you through some of the basic features. Pass you over to Si.
Hello everyone, welcome to AutoCAD Electrical. I've just opened up the application, so we've got the home screen here. The first thing you'll notice for AutoCAD users is you'd be going to the open icon and you'd be opening your files from there. With AutoCAD Electrical, it's a project-based kind of application. So on the left-hand side, here when we've got the project manager, we've got the projects here, and we can expand the project. It will show all the drawings that are contained within the project, and we can also create subfolders within the project. You'll notice as well for each of the drawings that we've got in the project, we've got a details panel on here for the drawing, and with this we can see the location of the file. We can also switch it to a preview, and we can preview drawings within the project. I'm just going to start off with opening the project. Go to the Vault workspace. Okay, and we've got what's known here as a .wdp file, which is an AutoCAD Electrical project file. It contains information on the drawings that are associated with that project, as well as the project settings. So I'm just going to start by opening that, and I'm going to open up the three-phase schematic drawing. First thing you'll notice with AutoCAD Electrical is just at the top here where we've got all our tabs. We've also got a Home tab, which for AutoCAD users you'll recognise that. So AutoCAD is running kind of in the background, so you have still got functionality on there. We've also got things like the layer properties. Okay, and you'll notice in the layer properties that we've got the electrical wires in here as they're coming through as layers. So just going along then, we've got the project tab. For our schematic drawings, we've got a schematic tab, there's a panel tab for our panel footprints, for a report tab for our report generation, and we've got a import export tab where we can edit the electrical drawings using Excel. Okay. Just moving on to the drawing, we've got our drawing border, okay, and we've got populated information here, which are attributes that are mapped in our project, but we also have attributes in the drawing properties. Okay, so we can bring through information from our drawing descriptions onto our title border. Okay, whilst we're in the drawing properties, we've got our drawing settings tab. We've also got a components tab for all of our component tag formats, our Y number formats, a cross-referencing, styles for all of our source and destinations. We've got a drawing format tab for all of our spacings, our scale, and format referencing. We've also got on our project, we've got project properties, and you'll see we've got project settings. So this is where all of our libraries and icon menus our paths are set up. We've got a cat-up file preference, so for our catalogue database. Okay, and as we're moving along on the tabs, you'll see it's very similar to the drawing properties dialog box. Okay, so we could have a project properties set up, but we can also have individual drawings that have their own setup. If there is a scenario that you've got a drawing with drawing properties that need to be made in line to your project properties, you can right click, go to properties and apply your project defaults. You can also do a settings compare as well between your drawing properties and your project properties. We've also got with our title block setup, we have got project descriptions. Similar to the drawing properties, we can map these project description into our title border. So just taking a look at our schematic now, we've got a right click menu. When we right click on components, AutoCAD Electrical has the intelligence, depending on what we select on the drawing, whether it be a component or a wire, we can bring up the marking menus for that type of object. In this example, we've got the right click for a component. If we right click on a wire, we get the options then for our wire commands. The electrical components that are used, they are blocks with attributes. So this text here that we've got, that is an attribute. So we can right click, edit the component, and we can edit the descriptions. Okay, we can also add catalogue information, ratings, and pin lists. Okay, if we open up multiple drawings within the project, we do have on the display all of the drawings that we've got open, and it is just a simple case of clicking on the cross to close the active drawings we've got down. Okay, we have also got the option in the project tab to use previous and next drawing, which will save the drawing and open up the next drawing along as we're going through the project.
Thank you, Simon. So in the next part of the demonstration, we'll be taking a look at our drawing list configurations. So this is how we can import wire types from previous electrical drawings, or how we can set up the wire sizing, colours, our standards within the project itself. We'll also be having a look at how we can bring in IEC standard components. Got the huge manufacturers such as Siemens, Allen Bradley, Schneider, all the big dogs in there. You've got different ways of bringing these in as well. You can do it through the component library itself, or we'll also be taking a look at the catalogue browser as well. So back to you then, Si.
Welcome back to the part 2 demonstration of AutoCAD Electrical. In this demonstration we're going to take a look at the schematic side of things within electrical. Just before I do that, I'm going to run you through the drawing list display configuration within the project manager. So as I mentioned in the first demonstration, that you've got the preview to allow you to preview each file within the project. You can also bring through information of the file to be displayed on the project manager. So to do this, I'm going to create a new drawing. Okay, and we're going to call it Demo 001. Okay, in description, we're going to call it AutoCAD Electrical Webinar, just to highlight sort of the different fields that we can bring through into the project manager. I'm also just going to change my template. So once we've brought that through, we can select the drawing list display configuration. Now at the moment we've only got it set to the file name, so it'll only bring through the file name of the project. But we can also select other display options. Just by selecting it and selecting the arrows, it will bring it across into the current order display. So I'm going to do it for description 1, description 2 and the sheet number that we populated. And I'm just going to move that sheet number up to the top. Okay, we can add a separator value. At the moment it's a dash, and we'll keep it as that. So then we hit OK. And you'll notice then, it's then displayed in the project manager as we currently set it up. Okay, so we've got the sheet number, file name, description 1 and description 2. So it's just an easier way to view information of a file in the project manager. What we're going to look at now is the wire types to begin with in electrical. So we can go to credit edit wire type. At the moment we've got these wire types in here already. I'm just going to show you how to create a new one. So we can call it red. You'll notice it will populate the layer name as we're going through. And I'm going to call this 2.5mm squared. We've also got the wire numbering option, if we want to include that for the wire. Okay. We've also got the option to import, and we can import from another drawing its wire types, or we can also import from a template. We can also change the line type, the line weights. We can change the colour, so I'll just change that to red. Okay, and we can also mark set as default. Okay, so it's just a case of selecting on any of the wires, and it will make that the default upon placing a wire. Okay, so I'm just going to set this one to be red. So I'm just going to place a couple of wires down. As I mentioned before, these aren't lines, these are actual wires. So they do have AutoCAD Electrical Intelligence behind them. You'll notice as well, if I now place a wire from one wire to another, it also puts a dot on there to represent it as it's joined. Okay, and I'm just going to place another wire. So that's placing wires down. I'm now going to go to the icon menu. And this is a library of electrical components that ship with AutoCAD Electrical when you install it. You can add custom symbols, as I've got here. But but these are all sort of standard symbols that you've got, and you've got a wide variety of different ones of those. So we've got push buttons, selector switches, and so on, breakers. Okay, so to begin with, I'm just going to go to push button, and I'm going to select push button no momentary. Okay, so we can place that on. Okay, component tag, at the moment it uses a family code, so at the moment it's using SF as the family code. You can change the component tag if you want to. So what I'm going to do now is fill in the description, so we can call it push button. Sorry. Okay, I'm going to go to the catalog database to assign a push button, and as in this example, I'm just going to select this one here. We can hit OK. We can also add a pin list on there, so we can type in values such as X1, Y1, for example, or we can just use the arrows to use the next sequential number along. Okay. We can also move the components by selecting on the drop down. We've got move, and select the component, move that onto here. And because it's got the intelligence, it will place the component horizontal onto the wire. If you do have some of the descriptions that are overlapping on the wires, you can right click on the component, go to attributes, and we can move the attributes. I'm just going to move them over to here. Okay, but you notice again it will then flip round because it knows the network that it's on. We can also use scoot, so we can scoot a component up and down a network. If we then copy the component onto here, you'll notice then it will take the next sequential number along. Okay, so it's got the intelligence behind it to know what number for that component tag has been taken, and it will use the next one along. And if, for instance, I wanted to align one component to another, I can do that by selecting a component and select the objects to align it to, and it will align the components. Okay, so that's aligning the components. I'm just going to add another component along here. We've also got update swap block, and we've got the option to swap one at a time, drawn wide or project wide. In this example, I'm going to select one at a time. Okay, and what I'm going to do is pick a new block from the icon menu. Okay, so we've picked the mushroom head push button, select the component to swap it to, and it's going to swap out. Another thing we can do, where before we've created the wire types, we can also change and convert wire type. So we can select the wire type we want to convert to, we hit OK. As we've got components along here, AutoCAD Electrical will see this as one network with these wires connected, and this will be another network. By that I mean if we select one wire, rather than having to select all the wires, we only need to select one wire, and we hit enter. It will change these as it sees it's on one network. Okay. We can highlight and trace the wire onto a network by selecting check trace wire. We can select a wire segment, and on the command line we can select A for all segments, and it will display the wire type network. Okay, another thing we can do with wires, if we add another wire from here and just place it on here, but we've not quite terminated it onto this wire, we can right click on the wire and go to stretch wire, and it will terminate it. Likewise as well, we can also use trim wire, so we can trim segments are there, and it will take the dot away obviously because it's no longer joined. Another thing we can do is add wire labels to the wires. So we can select a wire and we can right click and select wire color gauge labels, and we can select to manually place them. It will pick up on the layer name of the wire type, and we can place it along the wire type. Likewise with this wire color, as it's on a different layer, it will also pick through that layer name.
Some really interesting stuff there. Hopefully you can see how quickly Simon was able to find the component he needs within the standard library that comes equipped with the software. Autodesk regularly update the libraries. If you're unable to find a specific component that you need, you can either create one from scratch or modify one that is already available. This can then be pulled up from the library whenever you need it in the future. Moving on to part 3 of the demonstration, we are going to bring some component examples into our drawing and wire them up. We'll then look at how we can drive multi-phase wiring from our project settings and how we can use sequential and line reference options for the wire numbering as well.
Welcome back to the part 3 demonstration of AutoCAD Electrical. In this part we're going to look at 3-phase schematics and also with making use of a multi-bus feature within AutoCAD Electrical. So I'm just going to start with then the multi-bus command. And what we can do is specify the spacing, whether it's going to be a horizontal or vertical bus. We're going to have a horizontal bus with a spacing of 10, and we're going to go empty space, go horizontal. We're going to select the number of wires to be 4. Okay, so we hit OK. We can pick a point and place those wires down. From this, we can select another bus. And what we can do is select the 3 numbers of wires and we can go from another bus, hit OK. And we can place those. You'll notice then it will join the wires together where we've selected them, and it'll also put a loop so it doesn't join them together. So we've got the intelligence there from going from creating a bus to another bus. We can also, as I showed you earlier, you can scoot components. We can also scoot wires by selecting a wire, and we can scoot them along. You can also specify a distance, so if I select 10, we can scoot that over by 10, and obviously we can bring that back by 10 as well. Next, we're going to go to the icon menu and we're going to place a motor. Okay. And the motor we're going to select will be under motor control, and we're going to select 3-phase motor, 3-phase motor, 4 connections. Okay. Pick up on there to place it, and on here we're just going to type in web motor as the description. Okay. Again, we can change the component tag if we want to. We can apply ratings to it if we need to, and the pin list as well. Again, I'm going to go to lookup on here. Brings through the category motors, so it has the intelligence in electrical with what's called a family code. So with that component, the family code is called MO for that block. It'll go to the catalog database and see that it's an MO family code, and it will go off to the motors category. Okay, I'm just going to pick a random one in here now just for this exercise. We can hit OK. I'm just going to place a wire from this point. We can hit X on the command line to show connections, and we can go from that connection point to this wire. Okay, and with this wire I'm just going to right click, change convert wire type, and I'm going to set that as an earth cable. Okay, so again, you know, it has that intelligence that it sees it as a network, and it will apply the wire type to that network. I'm going to now go back to the icon menu, and we're going to insert a 3-pole inline fuses. So we can go to the icon menu. From this we can go to fuses, fuses on here, and we'll have a component that will be fuse 3-pole. So we can select the fuse, place it on the wire, and it'll ask us then to build right or left. We can build it right, and it will see on there it's already placed those in. We're going to just put a description on here called fuses, and I'm just going to again go to the catalog lookup, pick an entry from the catalog database. It's picking up on the family code again in the category is FU for fuses, and it's pulled through a ratings there of 15 amps. Again, we can add a pin list on there as well. I'm also now going to insert the breakers into the schematic. So again, we can go off to the icon menu. We've got an option there for breakers, and there's a circuit breaker 3-pole, and we'll have a circuit breaker. Again, set them to build right. In this time, I'm just going to fill in the description. Okay, the next thing we're going to look at is the multiple insert from the icon menu. And what we're going to do this time is select a terminal, a round width terminal number. Okay, it's asking then to do a component fence, so we can to a fence. You might want to use auth mode for this. You can select fence across wires, you can right click and we can set to keep this one, and it will fire off then to the insert edit terminal symbol, and what we can do then is just put a terminal number down for each time. We can hit OK. It'll then ask us again, do we want to keep this one? What we'll do is add a terminal number in each time as we're placing them. There is an option as well on the keep dialog box to untick the show edit dialog box after each, and you can also keep all don't ask, so it won't bring through the keep dialog box each time, and that's placing those down. Another thing we can do is insert cable screens. So again, we can do that by adding a cable marker. We go off to the cable marker section of the icon menu and we can do cable with shield. Select wire to insert. We can even put a fence around it, so I'm just going to fence it again. Fence, and then we can just put a fence point again across these. It'll pick up on all the wires on that. You can right click enter, and then I'm just, as for this example, I'll just put cable 1. Hit OK, and it's then placed cable shielding on that. The last thing that we're going to go through, I'm just going to scoot this motor component down. Okay, and what I'm going to do is insert a push button component, and I'm going to link a circuit breaker contact to this component. So we can do that by placing in a circuit breaker. I'm just going to select the 1 pole. So we can place them in, and we can say OK, repeat, OK, repeat, OK, repeat. That's them inserted them in as individual components, but we can then link them together by selecting the component to link from, and then we can select it to link to, and this is when we'll select our contacts. Select all the contacts, hit enter, and it's now linked them together. Obviously, now we've done that, it was individual components, it's now been linked into one. This is where we could right click on the component, edit the component, and we could add a multiple catalog, and we would add the contact entries into here, which would then set this push button component up as a sub-assembly. Lastly, we're going to look at wire numbers, so we can select wire numbers on here. We've got the option here to pick individual wires, project wide or drawing wide. We've got wire tag mode here that we can set the start value to be, and it will be setting as increment values. So for this example, I'll just set it to say 200, and I'm going to select drawing wide, and it will place all the wires in automatically. You can also scoot wire numbers as well along. If you find in this instance something like this where the wire numbers are not in line, you can use the align command. You've got the option to select vertical, horizontal. I'm going to select vertical, and we can line these wire numbers up as we've shown there.
So we're now on to part 4 of the product demonstration. This is going to be looking at more at the reporting features that we can do inside of AutoCAD Electrical. So we're going to be having a look at our bill of materials. I can bring through quantities, product information, manufacturing information onto our bill of materials, export that out to a spreadsheet, and also how we can add it to a drawing. We can also surf for components directly from the bill of materials, and then how we can save it to external formats such as an Excel spreadsheet. We're also going to be having a look at the PLC export and how we can pull through our PLC I/O numbers and add that to a spreadsheet as well.
Welcome back to the AutoCAD Electrical Part 4 demonstration. In this demonstration we're going to look at the report generation. So in the project I've created a BOM report drawing. I'm just going to double click that to open it. What we can do is go to the reports tab, and we've got reports for schematic panel, and we can also automate the report generation. In this exercise we're going to select schematic reports. We've got a list of information here that we can pull through from the project. I'm going to select component, and we're going to do that project wide. We can also select in the category for one-line components, hydraulic, pneumatic components. What I'm going to do is select a drawing from the project. So it's brought through the catalogue information, so the ratings, manufacturer, quantities, installation location codes. We can change these columns that we've currently got displayed by going to change report format, and we can select by adding them in, and we can also remove them. We can remove the fields up and down on the columns. Okay. I'm going to put on drawing, and I'll select the metric table style, and we can place that on the drawing. And this bill of material has full linkage to our project, so any changes we make in the components will update the bill of material. We can also use the surf command to search components in our project through this bill of materials list. Okay, we can select the catalogue number or the tag name. Okay, with AutoCAD Electrical being a project-based setup, we can go back to our reports and we can select a component again, go through the same process, selecting the drawing, but on this occasion we're going to save to file. We've got different output formats here. I'm going to save it as a spreadsheet. I'll just save that to my desktop. Okay, and on our desktop we've got the component Excel spreadsheet, and this is then exported our Power 3-phase drawing into a bill of materials spreadsheet. Okay, so it's quite simple, easy to use, and it gives you all the information there that you need. Okay, you can also bring through PLC information. Okay, so I've added the PLC drawing within the project, and just to show you that we can bring that information through, we're going to go through the same process of generating a report, only this time we're going to select the PLC IO address and descriptions. I'll select the PLC drawing in the list, just Control PLC, so it brings through the module tag, the addresses and IOs for this, and again same process, we can save either to a file or put on drawing.
So we arrive at the final part of our product demonstration. In this part we're going to be having a look at panel design inside of AutoCAD Electrical, how we can bring those simple components into the panel. Once again, we've got the ability to export this information out as an Excel spreadsheet. We can then edit that information and re-import it into AutoCAD Electrical as well. So for the final time, pass you back over to Simon.
Welcome back to AutoCAD Electrical. In this demonstration we're going to take a look at the panel footprints. So I've just added a subfolder in the project with some extra drawings here, and we've got open one of the drawings. So you'll see on the drawing already, we've already got some what we call panel footprints and nameplates. So what we can do to add one is we go to the panel tab, and we've got, similar to the schematic tab, we've got an icon menu for the panel footprints with a list of our standard components, but we can also insert a panel footprint from a schematic list. So I'm just going to reload the project, and we'll select the subfolder control system, and what we can do is mark existing, and we can hide existing panel footprints that's been associated to the schematic component. So I'm just going to select forward cutting motor light, and we can manually insert this. It's picking up on the catalogue information from the schematic component, but we could also manually place one in, and we can also browse to a component and place that in. It's then brought through the footprint symbol from the catalogue database, and we can place that in. We're going to also go to the icon menu and place in a nameplate. We'll go to the catalogue lookup, and I'll just select this catalogue entry for example. We select the footprint, and that places that in. Panel footprints also have intelligence to the schematic component in that we can right click, surf a component, we can surf to the parent, symbols. Any changes we make either in the schematic component or panel footprint will be associated, as well as any bill of materials that we generate from this. Okay, so what we're going to do now is look at the terminal strip editor and how we can place those terminal strips onto a drawing. So I'm going to open up the cabinet drawing in our project. Just over the right hand side here we've got some dim rail. So what we can do is go on the panel tab, we've got a terminal editor, and it will pick up on the terminal strips that we've got in our project, and we can edit the terminal strips. We've got a nice kind of tabular outlay for our terminal strips. As you'll see, it's pulled through our installation location codes and our component tags and wire types. We can also go to the catalog code assignment. This will bring through the manufacturer when placing the terminal. We've got our cable information. We can also add jumpers in this process by selecting, say, 2 of the terminal strips, and we can assign a jumper and we can assign it a manufacturer. We can also go to the layout preview, and we've got different displays for our terminal strips, and we can select one and hit update and so on. We can also select what information we want to bring through onto the terminal strip for our wires, wire numbers, cables and component information, and we can hit update to give us a nice preview of our terminal strip. From this we can specify a scale, we can insert and place it on our drawing. And it's also got full linkage again to our schematic terminal, so it's, you know, real time saving. The interface is easy to use and the information is linked. So whereas if you was doing this in AutoCAD, you'd have to create each one of these terminals as a block and obviously manually update each one. All this information is linked through from our schematic drawings.
Okay, lastly I'm going to show you how to update schematic drawings using Excel. So I'm just going to show you an existing schematic drawing we've got called Power One Phase. Okay, and you'll notice for the components that we've got in here, we've got descriptions added for a lot of these components. So we can edit component, we've got those there. What we can do is go to the Import Export tab, and on the Export panel, we can export to a spreadsheet. We've got the option in here to kind of split out the components and numbers that we've got in the drawing, and also if we've got some PLC components in there. I'm going to select General in this example, select OK. We can select what export we're doing, whether it's a active drawing or a project, and the output format. So we have got the option there for a Microsoft database file if needed. And I'm going to select the Power One Phase, and we'll export it to a desktop. So we've got this Excel file here. You can double click it. Upon opening it, you'll see we've got different worksheets here for components, terminals, source and destinations, wire numbers and so forth. We're going to go to the component worksheet, and if we move this along, we see we've got our description 1, description 2, description 3, and what we're going to do, just to highlight to you the changes, we're going to type micro concepts. We can also use Excel to copy fields. For these ones, we'll just delete these. Okay, so we can save that, go back to electrical, and we can import that spreadsheet. It asks us where we want to apply it to. In this example, I'm just going to select the active drawing, and you'll see then for each component within the schematic, it's applied that descriptions. So it's useful for making lots of changes in one process. A lot of users prefer Excel because they find it easier with the table layout to make multiple changes to components rather than doing it within electrical. So it's a commonly used feature within AutoCAD Electrical.
Okay, so that concludes our introduction to AutoCAD Electrical. I hope that you've found the information useful. If you have any feedback at all, please feel free to contact me directly at ollie.lewis@microconcepts.co.uk. Alternatively, you can get hold of me via phone on 01223 716 203. If you're unsure about your next steps or have any further questions on the software itself, just give me a call. We can go through your requirements individually. But yeah, no, thanks once again for joining us, and hope to hear from you soon.